Our first problem says factor. Factor 5x squared minus 55x plus 50. So when you see the word factor, we're going to use our snowflake method. So I'm going to look up here at the picture. The very first thing that we do, we have to find this GCF, and I'm going to show you how to do that in the calculator. It's just a calculator problem. So let's pull up our calculator. And I need you to type in GCF. So hit the ABC button, GCF, parentheses. And you're going to put these three numbers in there, 5, negative 55, and 50. So 5, comma, negative 55, comma, and 50, close parentheses. If you get a number that's not 1, then you have a GCF. I don't care about a GCF of 1. That doesn't do anything. So if it's 1, you say no GCF. If it's any other number but 1, you have a GCF. And so we do have a GCF because 5 is not 1. So what we're going to do is we are going to say, yes, we have a GCF. And our GCF was 5. So we're going to put a 5 right here. Now what we have to do, because we have a GCF, we have to divide all three of these numbers by 5. 5 divided by 5, if you put it in the calculator, is 1, and then keep the x squared. And then negative 55 divided by 5 is negative 11, keep the x on it. And then 50 divided by 5 is positive 10. Now, if you look right here, that gives us our A. A is whatever number is connected to x squared, which in this case is going to be a 1. So A is 1. B is whatever number is connected to that x right there. So in this case, B is negative 11. And C is whatever numbers by itself is constant. So our C is positive 10. So now we need to draw our snowflake. I'm going to draw mine up here. You need to make sure you're drawing yours on scratch paper. So I'm going to draw my snowflake. It's not the best looking snowflake. And I'm going to go back up to the picture. Remember, you get to use this picture on the test. So up here, the first thing I like to do is the B. This B, bumblebee down here, it's just the letter B. So I look and I say, well, what did I say B equals? B equals negative 11. So we're going to place a negative 11 down here on my snowflake. Now let's go to the top. It's not a microwave. Everybody likes to think it's a microwave, but this is an AC unit right here. So we have to find A and C and multiply them. So right here, A is 1 and 10. So if I multiply 1 times 10, I get 10. So I'm going to put a 10 right here. Next, I go up here, and we're going to do these axes. Ax is just AX, AX. Well, I know what A is, right? A is 1, and I'm going to put an X on it. So 1X, 1X. Remember, this is the first time you're seeing this, so it's going to be a little complicated at first. All right, now what we have to do is we have to do our cross puzzle, and we're going to fill in these two right here. We're going to go and fill this in down here. I know mine looks a little different than yours, but we're doing the same problem. So 1, negative 11, and 10. I have a 10 here, a negative 11, a 1x, and a 1x. All right. Which of these, if I'm looking at my key factors here, we get to use this on the test, has a positive on bottom and a negative, or a positive on top and a negative on bottom? Not that one. Positive on top, it would be this one right here. So I know I'm using this one, which my two numbers have to be negative. So I'm going to put right here negative and negative, and it has to multiply to get 10. So I'm going to start with negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, negative 4. We'll see how far we get. Negative 1 times what gives you positive 10? Well, I know it's got to be negative anyway, so it's going to be negative 10. If I multiply negative 1 times negative 10, I get positive 10. But what happens when I add these? I get negative 11. Is that what I want it to equal? If you look at the bottom right here, it is negative 11. So this one does work. So we are going to actually just take these two numbers. So we're going to put negative 1 and negative 10. Now, what I'm going to do here is if you see a 1, you do not need to reduce it. This is not going to reduce today. Anytime you have a 1, it doesn't reduce. If you guys can remember that, it'll be super helpful. So we're going to put a no here because it doesn't reduce, and we're going to put a no here because it doesn't reduce. Now, we have to remember, do we have a GCF? We did have a GCF. So when we're done, we're writing our final answer. We're going to put the 5 back here that we took out from the beginning. And my answers are these two things right here. And I'm going to show you how to write them, okay? Because they didn't reduce, we're pretty much done. Now, normally, we would write 1, see, this is a 1x minus 1. We're just going to write them sideways. And 1x minus 10. Now, you don't normally ever write the 1. So instead, we're going to not write that first one. We're going to write x minus 1 and x minus 10. And you're done.